Just take a second. And then once you have it read, I want you to discuss it with a partner. Just talk about what you know about food labels, what you've learned so far from prior lessons, and then just discuss with your partner for like a couple seconds.
Do food labels lie?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, never.
Actually, no. I don't. Wait, what's the question?
So, what have you learned about the food label? What do you know? What do you want to learn?
I learned food labels are always wrong.
Organic,
I know that there's different names for fats, other names you could use to hide it.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
That works.
So, I'm going to ask you guys these questions, and if it applies to you, I'm going to have you raise your hand. So, I eat when I'm bored. Okay, so we've got a couple of people that eat when they're bored.
My hands are really trying to pick one.
I eat when I feel stressed. When you feel stressed, during finals week, you start eating a lot. I eat when I'm out with my friends. So if you're out, okay, so it's a social thing. It's very, so it's a common thing that we do.
Even when I'm out with friends.
I eat when I'm watching TV, listening to music, or just sitting around. So when you're distracted, you're just eating. Who eats in front of the TV?
I eat a snack.
Okay.
It depends.
I eat when I'm upset. So
I'm always
emotional eating.
People still watch Cartoon Network?
Okay, I'm going to have you take a second, and on your paper, write down what you noticed about your eating habits. If you raised your hand, if you didn't, if you're pretty good at not distracting eating, or eating it when you're emotional.
The
thing is, I'm always upset and I'm always eating.
Yeah, right over there.
Well, I'm not eating.
Liam, yeah, right over there. Yeah, right. Yeah, a couple times. Yeah, it's always sad. It'll get better. My therapist told me
Okay, so we already went over some of the things that influence how we eat or what we choose to eat, but here are some of the things that influence what the food you choose. Personal preferences, so some people just, for example, I hate garlic. So other people like don't like chocolate or they don't like vanilla. You're going to choose based on your preferences. Liam?
Yeah, we're going to have an issue.
Yeah, out of people, we have different discrepancies. Cultural background, so if you come from a different ethnicity, you're probably eating, if you're eating, so I'm Persian, so I eat a lot of Persian food at home. If you're eating a lot of Spanish food at home, if you're eating a lot of Greek food at home. Time and convenience, if you're always on the go, you're probably going to be eating a lot of like stuff that's already packed, like sandwiches, granola bars. Friends, so you guys, most of you raised your hand for friends, so you eat when it's a social thing. And then the media, too. So what it's produced on the TV, you're like, oh, that cereal looks really good. So that kind of influences what you want to eat. So remember how we talked about the different health claims? So what does natural mean? Does it have a meaning to it?
No.
Yes.
No. Remember the myths thing that we learned?
Yeah.
There's no meaning to natural. Anyone can put it there. And then raise your hand, how many grams of trans fat can be in a product? Until they can list it or not list it. Yes,
Like
Wingsun.
0.5.
0.5, yes, good job. And then low fat and fat free. What did we learn about that? So what do they do to make it low fat? Yes, so they take out the fat and add more sugar. But were you about to say that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then fruit juice. Unless it says 100% juice on it, so this says 10%. Who drinks Snapple? Does anyone drink Snapple? Then it's not actually juice. They add sugar to it. And then wheat basically means white. It's not whole wheat. So I want you to take a second with your group and kind of observe what are some differences between the old and the new label. So talk with your groups a little bit, just communicate, and then we'll come back together.
So yeah, they're yelling at
There are a lot of calories. People are complaining they couldn't see how many calories they had.
Bigger font to hide
Yeah, the calories. That's
They're hiding something.
what do you observe?
Saturated fat,
Where are the calories from fat go?
So, we're gonna talk about that. Do you think calories per fat is necessary? Do we need to know that?
No, I think it's it's not fair. It's just at the bottom.
It's like 2,000 calories matter. Like, there has a fat list. So that is a good point, but the total fat is a big one.
It's corporate scheming.
Another listing so it's like making it easier to look at. And now there's some calories based. And also there's everyone's
Total fat. We need to have a water on the
like those are the basic values. That is a really good point. Okay, let's wrap it up. I'm gonna have the back table. Yes, Christian. What do you notice?
What I noticed about the new one is like compared to the old one, the new one has like more information.
Yeah. So the new one has more information?
Yeah.
So that is true. They added some information, but they also took away, like, so we had a good point here where this was taken out because no one really looks at that. This is for a 2,000 calorie diet, and everyone's diet is different. So not everyone is eating 2,000 calories or 2,500 calories. So they took that out, but they also added a lot of things. What are some stuff that you saw added? Yes, Owen.
They show the added sugars.
Yes, the added sugar. So what's not naturally occurring? And then we learned about how simple sugar is complex sugar. Yes.
They made the calories and serving sizes bigger.
Yes, yeah. So look at, you have to look so small to see the serving size. When over here, it's right there. 8 servings, 2/3 a cup. Anything else? Yes, Amari.
They made certain things that don't matter more bold. So we focus on what doesn't matter instead of, we don't bother to reach what's in small.
Yeah, so the bold is like the carbohydrates, cholesterol, fat. Those are things you want to look at. And then what did you notice about the vitamins and the nutrients? So are those the same?
No.
Josiah?
They add potassium.
Yeah, they added, so calcium's still the same. There's one more.
Potassium.
Potassium, yes, potassium. That's perfect. Yes.
It says the amount of like grams and stuff next to it.
The milligrams, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing. So what did they take out and add?
Vitamin
I don't know what are they, vitamin C, yeah, and vitamin A. So they added vitamin D. So vitamin D and potassium is the ones that we're all mostly deficient in, but vitamin A and vitamin C we actually eat a lot of. So they took that out because basically you don't really need that.
What is this for?
So this is there's government standards where this used to be the old nutrition label and they revised it. So this is what everything looks like now.
Like, what's the product?
The product, oh, not sure yet, but this is just an example. Okay, and then ingredients list. So when you're looking at ingredients, the first ingredients is what's most in that product. So it goes from the most ingredients to the least amount of ingredients. So for example, Fruit Loops, what's the first ingredient? If you can see, sugar. So the most of that product is made of sugar. So, is this a good healthy choice?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Not the most healthiest choice. There's other cereals where you don't want to have sugar as the first ingredient. And then sugar and fructose corn syrup are the same exact thing. So if something says fructose corn syrup up at the beginning, basically the same thing. Yes?
What about
So we're going to be looking at that today. So you'll see a little bit later. And then serving sizes. Today our activity is I'm going to be passing out food. And you're going to have to measure out what you think is a serving. And at the end of class you can have a little bit, but during this activity don't eat it yet.
Oh wait, actual edible food?
We're going to see we're going to work with edible food. We're going to be working with cereal, chips, everything that you eat. So here are some tips about how to serve eat a serving. Michael, would you read the first one?
Oh, yeah, don't eat straight out of the bag, measure it out.
So how many of you just eat straight out of the bag and they're just like mindlessly eating? Yeah, so a lot of us do that. So it's good to like take it out and then have
You
it.
don't eat chips?
I don't eat chips. Right?
Christian, can you read the second one?
I need glasses.
Okay. Can you partner help you? Allison, do
thought.
you want to help?
Okay, which one?
The second one.
Avoid eating while distracted.
Awesome, good job. And then Osvaldo?
Use smaller dishes.
Yes, so when you have a bigger dish, you typically tend to pour more. But if you have a smaller one, you typically actually pour that serving size. And then, who goes to a restaurant and eats their entire food?
Oh, not me.
All their food. Yeah. So typically restaurants serve 2 or 3 times more serving size than you actually eat or should eat. So a good advice is pack half of it for leftovers, eat half your food, or share with a friend. So that's a good way to actually eat what a serving of a restaurant-sized food. And then this, so you could use, if you don't know what a serving is, for chicken. It's about the size of a deck of cards, that's 3 ounces. And then butter, you want it about your thumb. If you look at your thumb, this is how much butter and how much dressing you want to use. For vegetables and grains, that's about a fist. So your fist is about how much vegetables is a cup and how much grains you should eat. 4 dices, that equals how much cheese you want to have. And then a tennis ball is a half a cup of fruit and half a cup of ice cream. So you can always use different items to think about what a serving size is. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to have these 3 groups get together and then these 3 groups get together and get together in a circle, and we're going to measure out food.
Like how in a circle? Circle.
Circle time. Circle time. It can be a try.
Someone migrate to our empty table.
No, you have to get it.
We're getting in a circle like that.
So you guys are going to measure out, let's get around this table, what you think is a serving of chips, cereal, and saltines crackers in these 3 plates. So you guys come over and help them.
Just one container, and everything's called a serving. If you just pour them all in one container will be done and called a serving.
I think that's it.
Demon chips.
I hope.
Okay, what are those brands?
That's my story.
So what's going into your decision making?
7 more.
7 saltines. Okay.
7 to 5.
How much do you think serving of cereal is?
Like less than half. A little bit less than half.
Okay. Whatever you guys think. And then how many chips do you think is a serving? No, you don't. Whatever. Okay. So how much?
10 chips. Really wrong, but we call it 13.
Is this the first bag of chips?
That's probably all of that in like.
Wait, it's a little more.
Okay, so how much do you guys think is a serving of cereal? A
Although.
small share.
Swallow, sharing is
2/3
caring.
a cup. How many saltines do you think is a serving?
4.
6.
No, I think 3.
4 and 6.
3.
And then okay, we gotta work together. And then now the Cheetos. How many Cheetos do you think?
It's probably like 12.
You can't read it. It got
It's like 12.
Bro, just put the whole bag in
Liam,
your plate.
Liam, maybe like 12.
8 to 12.
8 to, no.
Yeah.
Like 5.
100.
No, it's like it's not a lot.
Serving size, not how many you eat.
Let's see.
You were in Epic Gamer, you went from the
I think it's
What do you guys think?
more.
No, a bit more.
Yeah, a bit more.
2 more?
more.
Oh, 10.
Do you guys agree? Consensus 2 more?
No. Oh, wait, yeah.
Yes, 2 more? Okay, once you're done, everyone take a seat, and then I'll know you guys are.
Okay. Hey, Mom. Add this to.
Christmas 2019.
We're good. We're here. Try
Okay, so we're going to have that back table tell us. Let's have one person from your spokes. Michael, what did you guys measure out? How much do you think you lose? Let's bring it to the front. Let's see it from the class. Do you bring all 3 plates?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all 3 plates.
I don't even know how big a cup is.
No, it's not.
That's what that's like. I
Okay.
I'm gonna drink a cup of water.
Awesome. So, how many saltines do you say is a serving?
However many's in there.
That's 6. So 6 saltines. Who thinks this is right? Raise your hand.
We said
Wait, no,
7.
I don't, I do.
6 saltines?
No.
Why are we raising our
Okay. Cheetos, how many do you have?
12, I think.
12 Cheetos.
We have 10.
Oh, 10, close.
Whoa.
10 Cheetos, how much cereal?
Half.
Half a cup?
Bowl thing, I don't know.
So, what do you guys say? This is about a cup, a half cup? Yeah, Maria.
2/3.
2/3 of a cup. Okay, what made into your decision? Like, why did you guys decide these servings? Did you guys know from prior, or?
I don't know.
Whatever
Just
looks
Yeah.
seasonal, okay.
Yeah, so much, so small. It's not even funny.
So, these 3 tables, you guys, 1, 2, okay. Come up front.
Oh.
One of you guys, let's show the class. Okay, how many
Very
saltines?
funny.
I don't know.
7.
7, okay. And then how much chips did you guys say? 13. And then how much cereal?
Like a fistful of cereal.
Full, okay.
That's what he
A
tried.
fistful, so, awesome. Who thinks these are all right?
Ooh.
Cereal.
Guys, have faith in your team.
Potato chips and saltines. Okay, you guys curious about what's the actual serving size?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alright, so much trouble.
14 Cheetos.
Oh.
14 Cheetos. This is a serving size. So if you guys can see,
Yeah, we should have cheated by looking over there.
15 potato chips.
How much do they?
We had like
15
13.
potato chips.
We had 13.
And then 5 saltines. 5. Only
And
5.
he said 5 to 7. We said 7. We should have gone 6.
We got 16
Good on
pretzels.
you.
16 pretzels. Did you guys get
I was the
pretzels?
one who chose something.
Okay.
Nobody got pretzels.
And then this one, a cup. 1 cup of cereal.
We tried, but we didn't know how much.
You guys are pretty close. You got an estimate. Yes, Christian.
How do we get full after that?
See, that's a good point. Christian had a good question. Good question. How do you get full off of that? Does anyone have an answer?
You don't.
What?
How do you get full off of this type of food? What do you do, Allison?
You eat multiple different things.
Exactly, multiple different things, and then
Take your time.
take your time. Yes.
Stuff with more fat.
Stuff with more fat because it's higher satiety. Yes.
Theoretically, you could just not eat those foods and eat healthy foods because they'll make you more full.
Exactly. So these are more nutrient. They're not very dense. So this you can have. This is 100 calories, or you could have an apple, which is going to keep you a lot fuller for longer, or you could have a better cereal that has more fiber in it. That's going to keep you full for longer. So you choose food that is more nutrient dense. Osvaldo, eyes up here. So that's a good point. Choose, if you want to have some cereal, choose half a cup, but then have something else that's going to keep you more full. Good job, you guys.
Let's go.
So, the next thing that we're going to be going through is you're going to be in your groups and you're going to have a worksheet. And in that worksheet, you all are going to get a different food product. You're going to have, for example, one of them is Pop-Tarts. You're going to answer these questions. So you're going to evaluate this item and you're going to say what's good about it, what's not good about it, what grade you would give it. So like an A, B+, B-. So if this is like Pop-Tarts, think about it. And then what product you think would be a little healthier alternative. So instead of Pop-Tarts, what else would you have during breakfast?
Fruit.
So we'll take some time writing these out.
French toast.
Wait, do we not get
That's healthy.
I have a question.
No, it's not.
But to be fair,
And then you also have the first ingredient is sugar.
That's great.
That's good. That's
That is
something
good.
good.
That's good.
Sugar is the third ingredient.
It's the second.
Either one. It's a
Yo,
nutrient.
sugar is so far down on my list.
Sugar is the second.
Wait, so what are the ingredients? That's
Oh, yeah,
good.
that's
That's better than
White flour.
Okay, so enriched white flour.
Niacin, reduced iron, vitamin B, vitamin acid, and sugar. High-fructose corn syrup, dextrose.
So high fructose corn syrup is actually
Sugar is the second.
oh yeah, good.
sugar. Oh, yeah, that's yogurt. That's something that we're supposed to.
What do we write in our number?
Scott.
Oh, you just read it.
So sometimes it's really limited. Yeah, so if it's
Okay.
as in trans fat, if it's less than a gram, they don't have to say it.
What about polyunsaturated
That's
fat?
fine. So polyunsaturated
Poly and mono.
yeah, poly and mono, those two.
Pop tarts are so good for you.
They're not, you were given